Welcome back to the second episode of Teen Health. My name is Sean Gardner.
I'm Zane Baki, and today we're discussing depression. We all know it's a very serious topic, and today we just want to discuss what depression really means and how to really cope with it. One of the things with depression is that it's something that kind of can either happen through a cause, like a loved one dying, or it can just come out of like nowhere. During the pandemic, people kind of had this thing that was wrong with them and they didn't really know what it was, and it was depression. So what is depression? Depression is a disorder where you really have no motivation for absolutely anything. And there's just so much that goes on in your head, and depression can lead to suicidal thoughts,
Eating disorders.
overeating or not eating, and a lot of the time people don't know what's wrong with them, and that's why we want to kind of bring
Shine
light
light.
to this topic. Yes. So, Rashawn, have you had any experiences where you had something similar, or you felt like that?
At one point, I think it was when my grandfather died. I just felt nothing. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want to eat. I just wanted to lay in my bed under the covers for hours on end. And I didn't know what it was. I was just unmotivated. What about you?
Yeah, I had a similar, not similar experience, but like over the pandemic, as many people kind of experienced. Yeah, there was just a moment, or not a moment. It was actually for a good like 4 months where I had no motivation to do anything. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to go to school, come home, do nothing. I was eating a lot of food because that's what I did. I was just and gaming. That was kind of my way of escaping, because like I was like, what is going on in my head? I need to like get away from this. So I would game. And I realized later on that I was in a depression, and people mix up depressed and depression because those are two like very different terms or words to describe your situation. So depressed would mean that you're really upset about something and you kind of don't know what it is still, but it's not like it doesn't interfere with your daily life. Like you can still go out and have friends, or you can still be sad. You can still, just live your life normally. Depression interferes with your daily life. So you are going to want to go home right after school, and you're going to want to lay in your bed. You're not going to even want to go to school. You're not going to want to do anything, and that's interfering with your daily lives. Let's say you play a sport, you might quit that sport because the depression is taking a toll on you. But depressed means you can still move on, and that's kind of the difference between those two. Another thing I want to talk about is, how you can kind of deal with this. And a lot of people don't understand, but the brain is like the most powerful thing that a human has. And some people don't realize that mindset can really like change your whole perspective of the world. If you have a negative outlook on life and a negative outlook on like certain things, like let's say you have your driver's test like I did yesterday, for instance, and you're like, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail. Then you're going to put that in your mind, and once you take that test, you're just going to fail, because that's what you put in your mind. If you say, I'm going to pass, then you're going to go in, you're going to be confident, and you're just going to, probably pass the test. That's kind of how the mind works. It's crazy what you can do. And I'm sure you've realized how many things. Sean has a lot of commitments.
Yeah, for sure. I do tell Zane a lot to not say negative things like that, because it does put you in that mindset that you will potentially fail. And if you do, you go down a rabbit hole, and it's really hard to get out of that rabbit hole. But like Zane said, with my commitments, I try to stray away from negativity, because if I were to be negative all the time, none of the projects that I would create or partake in will get done. And the standards that I hold for these projects I wouldn't meet them, because I'm just like, this looks bad, this person's late, I'm screwed, I have so many projects to do. Like I have 2 major projects to do right now that are a lot, and if I were to be like, oh my god, this is too much, and just like keep saying negative things, the production value of that video would plummet and it would just come in shambles.
I've told him, like, when he's had a million things to do, to just kind of take it step by step and see it as it's like one here, one here, one here. Not like you have 10 things to do and you're like stressing over it, because that just leads to a bigger problem. And I guess depression can also, have like one of the causes, I guess, can be, like a million things stacking up, and stress and all this stuff, anxiety. And so one of the things is mindset, obviously, like we were just saying. And some people don't understand how powerful the mind is. I know I just said this, but it really does help. Once you put it in your mind, like when you're depressed or down or anything, and you kind of have these negative thoughts, you're just going to go down this rabbit hole where you're like just getting worse and worse and worse, because you're thinking negative, negative, negative. If you start to think more positive, then it'll only go up from there, So I believe that mindset is probably
the number one
factor when it comes to overcoming that.
And if you do have a negative mindset, talk to someone, because they could help you get out of that mindset. And there's other ways to go about it. Like for me, if I'm stressed with something with a million projects, like Zane said, he would tell me, okay, take a step-by-step approach. Because, like, for instance, I did yearbook and broadcast and theater all at the same time. So when I had to get the yearbook done at a certain deadline, I'm like, okay, I have 70 emails to send. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna send these emails on this day, and for broadcast, send emails that day, and plan them separately. So I'm in a little bit of a predicament right now where I kind of overbooked myself for the broadcast filmings. So one thing I'm going to do is like, okay, I'm gonna set a certain day for a certain amount of interviews during a certain period, because I cannot have 2 filming days cross where I'm filming a retirement video or I'm filming a senior send-off video. So yesterday I ran into an issue where I booked 4 people during the same period, assuming that they would take 5 minutes each, but not everyone was prepared for their questions. So I had 4 girls miss an entire class period miss their entire class period, and now I have to get their attendance waived. And I missed a teacher interview because she was sitting in her room the entire time, but I overbooked myself that day, so now there's repercussions for that. So I just have to plan even better than before. And for yearbook, if I have to send photographers out to film wrestling or crew, I have to make sure that I don't run into issues with that, because if one domino falls, they all fall. So I just have to delegate and work around issues that I'm having. And if I had a negative mindset during that period, nothing would get done. And the yearbook there probably wouldn't be a yearbook this year if I hadn't delegated and worked around the issues that I had, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so stress is just a big, big factor, and it leads to a lot of negative thoughts that can bring you down a downward spiral. And another thing with dealing with depression or being depressed is exercise. I can't even stress this enough. Like, just going outside, or like and running or walking or lifting or boxing, literally doing any sort of exercise, just like it'll lighten your mood. I promise you, it is so good for the body and for the mind that I do boxing a lot, and every time I go, my mind just completely drifts away. All I'm thinking about is hitting this bag and what I have to do in like during this time. And once you're out, you're like, wow, that felt good, because you don't actually realize how like good the exercise is for you. If you just go home after school, if you don't play a sport or anything, and you just sit there, do your homework, and stare at the ceiling for hours, why would you be happy? You're gonna feel down about yourself. You're not gonna want to do anything, because at the end of the day, you're not doing anything with yourself. And depression and being depressed is all about making improvements for yourself and not letting all these thoughts take over you and letting it suffocate you. But at the same time, I'm not saying you can just be weak and not say anything, because people can help you with this. For example, this podcast, you can search this up. No one's going to be like, watch this. Or no, you're not going to ask anyone. They're going to be like, watch this podcast. You can just watch this. This will give you some good tips. But also tell your parents. If you have very supportive parents and you're scared to tell them, I would tell them anyways, because they're gonna be there for you, no matter how scary it might be. Or just
Tell
tell
your
a
parent.
trusted adult, yeah. And it's really important that you do these things to improve yourself, because, and you can also have a professional to talk to, like a psychologist or a therapist, and they will really walk you through some of your problems, because what we're discussing right now may not be, may not like accord to you, but it's still something that can help you, like, improving mindset, exercise. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is meditation. As sometimes, teenagers think like, what, like, it's meditation, like that sounds stupid. But it really like puts you in a calm mood. You can do that in the morning, at night, before you go to bed. Just like search up meditation techniques for anxiety or stress. And it'll kind of calm your body down, make you more mellow. It'll lead to less anxiety throughout the day, and overall lead with a better mindset.
And if you're in Manhasset, you can talk to Mr. DeRay. Meditation Mondays every day.
That was me last year.
Every week, Meditation Mondays. To all my quote unquote workaholics out there, I'm a workaholic, and you can ask anyone, especially Dr. Coleman. He and Zane actually have seen me at my lowest, where I am this close to passing out. And it's okay to not work as much, because I definitely am grateful for the days I actually have off, because like I work 3 jobs and do a gazillion things here at school. So when I'm not doing anything, I'm like, this is what resting feels like. It kind of feels good. Like I can like watch a Netflix video. I can watch my favorite YouTube videos. I can talk to friends. I can hang out with friends outside of school and get breakfast.
Also remember that rest time you have, like remember how good it feels, and remember that you don't always need to be working, because that can take a toll on people. I don't know how he does it. He's just built different. But for a lot of you people, I'm sure it's too much sometimes, and you just need to take a break. Like just sit down, like take a break, and don't stress over everything at once, because your body cannot physically handle that.
For me, I feel it for some odd reason. I can feel in my head going go, 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 when I feel my body saying stop. But of course, I don't listen to it because I'm me. But honestly, take the breaks that you need, because you don't want to come crashing down. Because once you crash down, again, it's going to be another rabbit hole that you're going to have to get out of. So to stay away to not go to that depressing state, because once you fall, that's where depression starts. So to stray away from that path of overworking yourself and possibly getting depressed, spend time with friends, spend time with family, and don't take little things for granted, because me and Zane doing this podcast, if I was too busy doing the senior send-off, I would never spend time with him. And like for lunch, I barely see him at lunch anymore because I'm doing the senior send-off and the retirement video. So take your time, don't stress, don't overwork yourself, and spend time with those you love. Well, that concludes the second episode of Teen Health, Episode 2. I'm Sean Gardner.
And I'm Zane Baki. And always remember, your mental health comes first.
Peace out.